A woman that prioritizes her career over intimacy, nurturing, and connection will become hypermasculine and stressed. This is a trauma response to a chaotic childhood where vulnerability and openness was met with abuse or neglect. So she became hyper-independent, masculine, and controlling to cope, suppressing her tender emotions and soft vulnerability to protect herself from a phantom pain that no longer exists. This type of woman will be at first very attracted to a feminine man because she has disconnected herself from her own feminine qualities. But as a relationship progresses, she will see his femininity as unsafe, just as she has judged her own femininity as unsafe within herself. Both the woman and the man are not aligning with their authentic nature and are instead adopting incongruent traits to cope with unconscious childhood trauma. The woman will resent the man for being passive and weak, and the man will resent the woman for being controlling and harsh. What they don't realize is that they are judging the toxic version of feminine and masculine traits in each other. Because the healthy feminine is not passive, but flexible. The healthy masculine is not controlling, but is structured. But if they can heal their childhood pain, doing the emotional and energetic work, they can begin balancing both the feminine and the masculine qualities that they both possess.
Welcome back to the channel. And I actually found that particular video relatively interesting, and that's why I had wanted to discuss that plus some other things today. Now, you see the information on the screen, so I'm all about marriage. I'm all about ending the gender war and bringing us all together, all right? So the very first thing I want to talk about when it comes to this particular video, because the guy said a lot of things and I want to unwrap it. And I agree with about 65% of what he said. And the part that I agree with is the concept that, you know, a lot of women can get into this hyper masculine, as he says it, situation where they are very concerned about the feminine energy, you know, in men. And one of the things that I have talked about on this channel, because generally when I'm talking about masculine women, I generally use the term instinct driven, right? So many of you are very used to that term. You've heard me talk about that. But if you're brand new to the channel, you know, I'll pop it up so that you can understand what that is and track along with me. All right. So there's basically, again, for the new people, there's three basic types of people out here. You know, you have your instinct driven, you have your thinking based, and you have your heart based. And these can be both men and women. So don't get caught up in the graphic, because the graphic generally has a woman's picture, but they can also be men as well, right? So generally when you're talking about feminine men, you're mainly dealing with a supportive type, all right? So there's two basic supportive types. There are first the thinking type and then the heart type. But generally when we're talking about feminine energy, we're generally leaning more into the heart type. And when we look at, you know, the scope of people who have it the most difficult in the dating arena, they are the instinct-driven women, okay, and the heart-based men, all right? And just like what this guy was basically talking about is that these women that are walking in their masculine, okay, and men that are walking in their feminine, right? And ultimately, which almost always happens, and this is very frustrating, and I've seen it many, many times in Christian Singles Connect, which is the group that I help to organize, is that a lot of times, very instinct-driven women, very masculine women, as crazy as it sounds, they are very attracted to feminine men. Despite themselves, they're very attracted to it. And one of the main reasons why they are attracted to it is because the instinct-driven personality loves to be in control. In fact, I just actually had a session with a young lady, and me and her were basically talking about that exact thing. And she was talking about, as a woman, she really kind of wants a man that comes in and leads a little bit more and takes control. But then I reminded her, I said, hey, if you have a little bit of instinct energy in you, are you really going to want a man to come in and truly take control. Because if he takes control, you're not going to be in control. And then she thought about it a little bit. She was like, well, I see what you're saying, what you're saying. Now, she didn't give me a full answer on it, but she did say, that she could kind of understand my point. And generally speaking, if a woman who is walking in a lot of power, all right, a lot of management, a lot of ability to be in control of not only herself, but other people, that's generally, like I say, more of an instinct type of woman. And if that woman wants to marry or be in relationship with an instinct driven man, what she has to do is they have to pick out what she's going to be over and pick out what he's going to be over. And then they come together kind of like this. Because if they don't, they're going to do this. See, most people, what they do is the man is coming in more like this. He's more like a powerhouse. He's more like a bat, if you will. And the woman kind of comes in as a pillow. All right. And she is represented in soft and he is represented in hard. All right. So what happens when you take two bats? Like if someone is standing across from me, maybe 5 feet from me, and we both have a wooden bat and we both swing the bats as hard as we can at each other, what's going to happen? Okay, they're going to break, they're going to explode, or we are going to be very hurt by the reverberations right through the bat to us. Okay, so what happens if you take a pillow, okay, and you take the bat and you punch against the pillow? Well, you don't hurt the pillow. You don't. In fact, the pillow gets what? Fluffed. Have you ever seen people fluff a pillow? They actually bang it. They shake it around. They do all these things to it because they're trying to get all the fibers on the inside to kind of come out a little bit. So you have to kind of pull on it. You kind of have to shake on it. You have to kind of punch it a little bit. And then that pillow is fluffed. So when a bat goes against, a pillow, they work together. As crazy as that sounds. So what happens is hard is covered by soft, and it's more like this. But when hard instinct comes to instinct, they have to come together like this, right? And it can be very tricky, in order to put that together because both sides want power. And again, when you look at Hollywood, and I love to use Hollywood because it's something that we're all very familiar with. What we see is we see a lot of very strong women who are in a lot of movies, they're producers, they're directors, things like that. We either see one or two things with these women. Either they struggle to find love or they find a man that ain't working. Maybe he was working a long time ago, but now he ain't really working no more, or he just doesn't have that drive. So in a way, they kind of found a feminine version or a weaker version or a less strong version of a man to basically hang out with. See, that's why I'm trying to get you guys to kind of understand how this works in the real world so that you can see it with your own eyes and not be mesmerized by what a lot of people, are out here saying. Now, the part that I disagree with this particular video is the concept of trauma. And if you've been hanging around on my channel, you would know that I believe that everybody talking about trauma is actually a cop-out. And I know some people might disagree with me on that, but I look at it like this. I see an elephant in the room and I see mice in the room. And to me, trauma is a mouse. Okay, the elephant is the issue, right? And so when you're dealing with trauma, yes, people go through trauma. Yes, they go through pain. And I'm not disagreeing with that. But to say that a woman cannot literally be born with a mindset of strength is crazy. That's crazy. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Okay, and if it did, we would have and see in the past where every single man that was born would have been born of this strength. Each and every last one of them would have wanted to be a leader. And if everybody's a leader, then no one's a follower. Okay, it doesn't work that way. You could not have a society where every single person wants to be the ultimate leader. It just doesn't work. So we cannot believe that every single woman wants to be the ultimate follower. There are women that pop up from time to time and they see things a lot more clear than men do. All right. And these particular women, unfortunately, they're not praised, okay, for this ability. But when you look through history, we cannot say that every single woman that came into power, okay, got there because she went through trauma. That would just negate things like the Queen of England, okay, and all of the other women, the Queen of Sheba that we know in the Bible. And see, a lot of people will want to like lean towards Jezebel in the Bible because we see her as an evil woman that wanted power. But we don't see that with the Queen of Sheba. She was not seen as a woman who wanted to do power in a bad way. We see her as a woman who cared about her people, who wanted to learn more about Solomon as she was going, up to meet him. And there's lots of other women in history that have done really great things, okay, and that led men, all right, and they led them in a positive light. So we cannot say that all of these women, okay, have trauma and we're going through stress. Some of them simply were made that way. That was God's plan from the beginning. And even when I've talked to you guys about Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 31 woman is what we would consider today a masculine woman. There is nothing about her that is really truly supportive. What she does in order to stay in that mode is she humbles her heart, not only to God, but to her husband. And it is through that and that alone that we see her become praised. All right. So it's nothing wrong with a woman who walks in a little bit of power. The problem is it's the humbleness that comes along with that and the fact that she has to walk as a servant leader. All right. And a lot of women have not been taught how to be servant leaders. They have not been taught that all of their money, that all of their possessions, that all of their achievements are not for them. They are to give them to their children, to their husband, to other people. That is what God wants us to do. You see it with Jesus. All of the work he did it for us. He didn't do it for himself. All right. And unfortunately, ladies, okay, that are watching, a lot of men understand this principle. If a woman decided, let's say, not to work, and she just, maybe she doesn't have children, she just did not work, and she was married to a man who did work, this man would have really no problem, as long as they agreed to it, he would have no problem with going to work, making money, bringing that money home, and through that money, he's paying for the house, he's paying for her food. If she has a car, he's paying for that car. He has no problem with using his money, okay, especially if he's walking in his masculine energy, to use his money to pay for her. He has no problem with that. The issue that we have in our society today is that women have been taught that when they get money, when they have power, when they have achievements, all those things are for themselves. And see, this mindset started way back, in the 70s, 80s, and maybe even before that. Back then I wasn't even born. I can only go back to what I remember or what I've studied. And I remember growing up where there was literally songs that would say things like, what's mine is mine. This was a woman speaking. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. So that was a lot of women's concept, that when I go out here and make money, whatever money I make is my own. And then you as the man, when you make money, okay, that money kind of comes to me too, because that money takes care of me. And even today, what we see over and over again in social media is a lot of women that are very frustrated, okay, because they really want the man to take care of them, even if they have a job. And when we start to look at even uber successful Black women, and again, if you're brand new to my channel, we're talking about women that make well over 250 grand a year. What we see in their struggles is that they're rarely ever willing, okay, to help a man, to say, I am going to use my money to bless the man, to say that this money that's coming in is not my own, it is for my family. And then even when we have people like Simone Biles, who recently got married, okay, to a man that probably doesn't make as much money as she does, even though he is a millionaire, I think, from playing in the NFL. Okay, she took a lot of criticism from a lot of people because they were basically trying to say that you're up here, girl, and he down here, even though he's a millionaire, even though he's a professional. But you're up here, he's down here, so why are you dating him? Why did you marry him? And that, my dears, is the wrong attitude. The Proverbs 31 woman would have never had that attitude. Her attitude, it was only, is my man walking in his purpose? If he is walking in his purpose, then I am willing to be submitted to him as long as he is submitted to God and he is good for me. Right? But again, we have to, think about that we have an enemy out here that is trying to take society and twist it. And as it twists it, it makes people selfish. And that's what this is about. It's about selfishness ultimately. So when we're dealing with, women out here and or men out here, I'm always encouraging you all, because, I'm all about solutions on this channel. Okay. You have to find people who are selfless. If you're a man that is dating, you're looking for a woman who is selfless. If you're a woman who is dating, you're looking for a man who is selfless. You don't want to find selfish people. People argue, oh, I found a narcissist. Oh, I had this. Oh, I had that. Well, you wouldn't have these problems if you would have dealt with a person who is selfless. All right. And continues to be that way. But when you all get caught up, you're getting caught up because, again, your sexual chemistry, your sexual energy, and it's generally because of the first couple of people you had sex with. And so now you're trying to recreate that energy in other people. But if those very first people were not, giving people, then what you've done is you've locked yourself into a sexual energy that is selfish. And now you have to work, literally do work in order to get out of it. And I have people say that to me all the time. They're like, Jay, everything you talk about is about work. It's like we always have to do work. It's like what you teach us is difficult. Yes, it is. But again, is what you're doing right now, is it working? Is it working? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And is the information I am giving you illogical? Does it not make sense? Okay, if you're going down path A and path A ain't working, and you admit that you're a person, especially for a lot of women, I do find, like I said, women fall into this a little bit more than men. But if you're a woman and you're going down path A and you're saying, man, these guys, I love their sexual energy. I love how they make me feel. Everything down here is good, but they don't treat me well. But I know that these B guys are here. And I know y'all know it because y'all say things like nice guys finish last. Or I had no chemistry with this particular guy, but he's a really great guy. Okay, so I know that this exists. So you're on B, and then you're like, yeah, life would be better over there. But I don't know if the sex is going to be good. I don't know if he's going to flirt the way I want him to. And you're not giving him, and sometimes for men, the woman, the benefit of the doubt to say that within 9 months to a year, you could learn that energy. Because most of it is just because it's not something that you've learned. You just simply don't understand it. And because of that, now it seems weird or foreign.
That's how they say you didn't pick up a loan. I don't want that box truck. I want to ride in the Maybach. You go get you some Maybach money. What you doing out here in the truck? Me and my homeboy were joyriding. What you mean joyriding? Why are you joyriding in a box truck? Because you took out the cars from me. How you didn't go pick up your load? I want to ride like him. You must don't want no money. Get you some money like you. You need some money to ride like that. I can't believe I don't bought you a box truck, got you some contracts and dispatch and everything else. You and your bum ass friend? He ain't no bum. He got a job? No, he looking for one too. So y'all was joyriding looking for a job in a box truck? You ain't have to do nothing else. Go pick up the load. I did everything else for you.
Yeah.
All you had to do was show up. And you out here joy riding?
That load I had to go pick up for 20 minutes. We in Atlanta traffic. She bought me a box truck. No, I want to ride me back, bro.
You
You
need
ain't
some
wrong.
Maybach money though. Go pick up the loads like you supposed to. You can buy 3, 4 Maybach.
It'll take me a minute to get the money.
It don't matter. You want to have it overnight? How much money you got in your pocket today?
I got a couple dollars. I got like $25 in my name.
$25 to your name,
Well, really
and you
26.
joy riding. How you gonna put gas back in here? Somebody else to drive this truck. Cause I'm gonna make my money. I'm gonna get all my money back out this truck. Being a whole bum, and you got a rich wife. You got a wife that look like me. You got a wife that got what I got, and you out here being a bum. Now I can have any man I want, right?
I can have any girl I want.
Then don't nobody want you.
I can have any girl I
Don't
want.
nobody want you. I barely want you. Who else wants you? What's going on?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all the men, they can identify with that guy. But that is exactly, what I'm getting at. This is a woman who is 100% walking in instinct energy, or some people might call her masculine energy. And like I've said before, she's a very attractive woman. You can see she was put together. It was very frustrating for her. She even said it, someone who looked like me. I can go out here and get all these men. But in a lot of ways, she can't, because what's happened is because she's walking in it, she's attracted to the feminine man. And that is a man that is walking in his femininity. He doesn't want to work. He has no patience. He even says, it's going to take me a minute. It's going to take me a while. For those that don't know slang, Ebonics 2.0. So it's going to take him a while to make the money in order to drive a car like he wants. But he's unwilling to take that time. He doesn't want to take that time. See, she's done everything for him. Like she said, she got him the truck. She got him contracts. She knows that if he just is patient and he works this job, then everything will work out. And sooner or later, he will have money. And then she, as an instinct-driven woman, will have a man that she is walking with that has money. But notice how she comes in. She almost comes in as a mother, okay, or as a parent. She's doing almost everything she can for him. This is one of the main reasons why I tell women all the time, unless the man, because I use a train analogy for all the new people, okay? He is a train. He is an engine. That engine has to be moving down the tracks. It can't be sitting on the tracks. It has to be moving down the tracks. This guy ain't moving. He is literally not moving. If he had taken the contracts, if he was out there trying to do the work, then he will be moving. He might be moving at 25 miles an hour, but he's moving. Ladies, don't talk to, date, or deal with men that have not started moving. This is why y'all have so much stress. Okay, especially when you're walking in your instinct energy, because you're naturally attracted to men that ain't doing nothing, which means those men are walking in their feminine. They're not walking in their masculine. Okay, masculine men are doing things. They're making life happen. Okay, and yes, sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to get to those men, because those men, they're just gonna put up with anything. That's not what they do. All right. And then you have other men, like I've said, that are moving 70, 80, 90 miles an hour down, the railroad tracks. All right. And those are very sought out men. Okay. And some people might try to call them high value men, but I don't like to push too much into the high value, because it's more about, are they marriage worthy men? Are they actually going to marry you? All right. But remember, a marriage worthy man can be a high value man, but not every high value man is a marriage worthy man. So it's very important, for you to remember that. But again, so that illustration shows both sides. It shows both sides perfectly. It shows a man who really doesn't want to work. He wants everything right now, very much like a child. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to put in the effort. And even though he's a grown man, okay, he's not working towards anything. Okay. And he got $25 in his pocket. $25 is out of his own mouth. $25 in his pocket. Okay. But then the woman, very well put together, looks cute on the outside, But once you get to her inside, she's very controlling. She wants things to happen. She sees things from a business-minded perspective, just like, what I put up on the screen all the time. And see, these are the issues that people have. But like for her to marry the type of guy she says she wants, she has to humble herself. She can't be in control anymore. She can be in control of her business, but she can't be in control of the relationship because there's a part of her that wants to be in control of the relationship. That's why she picked a man like that in the first place. That's why she has sexual chemistry with that guy. Okay? Because again, it goes back down to sexual chemistry. And it's crazy to believe that women like that have sexual chemistry with men like that. But again, I'm always telling you, men that are sitting around doing nothing, they're not really technically doing nothing. They're basically talking to women all the time. They're very good at talking to women. But men that are actually moving 100 miles down, the railroad tracks, okay, those men are mostly concerned about money and ambition and what they're trying to change in this world. Those men ain't stopping and talking to every woman that walks through. Therefore, those men are not always as good with actually talking to women. But these other guys, they're very good at it because they do it all the time. They really don't do anything but that. And then the woman takes care of them until the woman gets mad at them, like in this particular situation. And then she gets frustrated. And then she wonders why the whole internet is against her. And it's not really against her because, like I said, it's against him too. It's against both of them. And the reason why it's against both of them, because she needs to, like I said, humble herself, recognize that there's other men out here. And then he need to get off his butt, get in that doggone truck, use them contracts, make that money, be disciplined. And this is why I'm always telling you guys, y'all can talk about therapy all you want. But if he had been disciplined and had common sense, that whole interaction wouldn't even have happened. This is an immature situation. And if he had that maturity, which his parents were supposed to give him, okay, then everything would be okay. But because he doesn't have those things, now we have to deal with the trauma. We have to deal with her anger and her emotions. We have to deal with his emotions of not feeling up to the task. But if we got rid of the big elephant, the little mice would go away. All right. So anyway, thought this was really interesting. Again, I'm all about marriage. That's what I'm about. Look down in that description. You're going to find a lot of information down in there when it proceeds to marriage. I really want you guys to be watching a lot of older sitcoms and different things like that that talk about marriage, especially unless you had, like I say, both of your parents your entire life married together, working it out. All right, because you need to understand what marriage looks like. Most of you don't even understand. Like there was a lady that I was literally talking to and recently, and as I was going through some things and I was telling her, that a father comes in and covers her and takes care of her, the way she was internalizing it was like, oh, that sounds like a narcissist. That sounds like a controlling dude. I don't know if I want that. And it was because she just never had it. And she told me, she said, I've never had a man. She's like, I didn't know my father. I don't understand what you're talking about because I've just never experienced it. And it's sad to me. I mean, honestly, it's sad. But that's what we're fighting. Okay, that's what we're fighting. And in order to fight that, people have to be willing to do the extra work. So you got to read these books. You got to get into this stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. All right. And if you get married, y'all have to work on it until, I'm being honest with you, you got to work on it until, you go to meet God. And then you have to teach your children to do the same. Because until you have about 3 generations of very strong marriages, you're going to have those generational curses. And the generational curse is not getting married. The generational curse is divorce. The generational curse is, single parenthood. All those things are generational curses. So again, go down there, check out that stuff in the description. Please like, please subscribe, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.